I've always felt different. I've always seen things, but when I tried to express them as a child, I was always told to ignore it.
There were people that I didn't know that came to me and said, I have this message that I keep getting that I have to deliver to you.
All of a sudden, out of the shadows, a homeless man just jumped right in front of me. And he said, I'm a soul just like you.
I love it. I wanted to understand the universe and who and what we are and what are we doing here.
Well, we're all part of this amazing soul wave tapping into each other.
This was a major life changer.
You are a light. You have helped me a ton. Thank you.
You've given me the courage to live more from my soul.
Millions of people are awakening. So wake up with Michele Meiche, the place to hear the best-selling authors and experts in the fields of cutting-edge self-help, personal growth, metaphysics, and spirituality. The soul path of awakening. Understand what living awake is.
Hey, Soulites. Great to connect with you. How's everyone doing? Woo, got intense energies happening, so we're going to be diving into that, and I'm looking forward to that, just sharing some insight. I've been talking about it, sharing about it on my Patreon Soul Path Awakening community, and it's been very helpful for people, so you might want to spend some time over there. You might want to spend some time. Okay, I think, let's see, I'm looking for my awakenings. I think I disappeared the chat. Are you guys there? Are you there? Soul Path Awakeners, awakening. Are you there? Are you there? Yeah, there's a lot of shifting right now, very intense energy. Some of you have perhaps even noticed it yourself. Okay, here we are. I'll get the chat back open. Multitasking, hey, gang. Okay, yeah, if you want to call in, 347-539-5122, 347-539-5122. Press 1 on the keypad. 539-5122, and press 1 because that way that lets me know that you have a question or a comment, or you want to say hello, you want to maybe get a reading or whatever, say what's going on. Also, by the way, if you are in the UK, I'm there, and I'm doing a workshop, a talk, the 18th, I think the 18th, let me look and see, is it the 18th? Yeah, the 18th and 19th at Yoga Barn. So if that's something, I put it's in my a YouTube community tab, and also it's in, I don't know if it's in my story. It's in my stories from a couple of days ago. But if you follow me on YouTube or connect with me, Soul Awakening with Michele Meiche, there's info about that. Maybe I'll put a note to put it in my Insta story, just in case you guys, if you're in the area, come and say hi. So, have you been feeling the energy shift of what is going on, the intensification of energy? We're really in this alchemizing process. It could seem like a purification process. It could seem, not just seem, but it could be putting you to your limits, or you're feeling too much to do, or there's, a lot on your plate. However you want to look at it, you are being pushed, squeezed, opened up to a new way of being and an expansion on a soul level. So really, matrix being designed, the old matrix is being shifted. You're being moved in a place where you're able to align to the soul matrix, the new design, and then creating from that space. So that it was a lot of the intensification of energy coming up from, I'm calling the chthonic, in Jungian terms, the deep underworld. And it's very interesting because on YouTube, a lot of the astrologers have been talking about Lilith. And that energy, I've been kind of watching a lot of astrology videos, and it's very interesting how more of the kind of mainstream, even psychics or spiritual, they focus so much on what's so negative or limiting. Let's just say limiting, because there's positive and negative charge, right? And the negative is actually the feminine. So let's say less life enhancing or limiting, whether they're talking about the devil or Mars. Mars they're talking about as it's about war or warring, or there could be more accidents or arguments. But Mars is a very, beyond war, it's force of nature. Mars is your life force energy. So it's not necessarily, and I feel like saying to people, like, look, there's wars all the time in the world. We're not ever without war. So, but what helps us is to understand our Martian energy, the energy of movement, of stamina, of how our energetic patterning is, or our cycle. So we're understanding that by going more within and feeling it out. In fact, Mars in Cancer, and then it's retrograding, teaches us that. It doesn't mean things are going to be blocked or stopped, or you need to be, but it teaches you what's your rhythm, what's your flow, especially in Cancer. What do you need to finish up? So a lot of this clearing, this cleansing is getting into not just our own individual soul story or narrative, but the soul story of the earth, of a particular culture or all cultures or society, back into ancient time, biblical times, when we started writing things down and we started having a certain way of relating. And I say biblical time, let's just say time of written history, but that does have a lot to do with biblical time. In those ancient times, and pre-Bible, let's say of history of religion, right? Organizing the idea of spirit or spirituality or God or gods. That time frame is coming up to be cleared. We're seeing the same pattern play out over and over and over. So what's happening now is we're really getting into the depths or the bedrock of the Matrix. Now, I don't mean Matrix in the form of that movie, not at all. I mean Matrix as a design, what it's intended to mean. There's no bad Matrix. There's just a matrix or design, a blueprint of what is. But a lot of what we created on the earth plane wasn't necessarily based in truth. So there's a lot of fear, like fear of wisdom, fear of eating the apple, right? If you look back at, being in the Garden of Eden, that, now you ate the apple. Fear of being nude, being exposed, transparent of what we do. So there's all these ways that particular groups use to keep certain knowledge and information from more people or from certain people. And now that's opening up. But we still, and this is so important, but we still have the beliefs, the ideas, the programming, the conditioning, and therefore the organizations, the groups, the institutions that are based on keeping that information out or limited information. So a lot is coming up for us to really look at. A lot is coming up for us to experience and to kind of push through, because on the earth plane, at some point, we get more done or we have our breakthrough by being tested. That's what temperance is, the testing. It's like in alchemy, you test through temperance. Is this, let's say I'm making jewelry, does this have too much lead in it and so it's too soft? Do I need to bring more gold, or what kind of gold? So, that tempering is a testing. They come from the same Latin root word to temper, right? And do I have my temper? Do I have too much? What am I doing with that Mars energy? Do I have too much that I'm just irritated and angry, or do I know how to temper, right, my temperament? Do I know how to channel that kind of energy? So you might be getting kind of blocked and stopped. You might feel like, something's not working, something's not benefiting me, or a particular relationship. You're going to also be seeing how you set this up. You have to remember, to some degree, whatever you have now suited you at one point. Even if you perceive it to be very limited, it still served you. So you have to look at that. How did it serve me, and how can I begin to use the energy of what I have? This is true metaphysics, creation, creating, using the energy to create with. So how can I wind out of something or bridge from something? So it's really important right now that all of us use our present circumstances. Not to necessarily, you can wish and hope for something different, or you could want something different, but we're really being called to create with what we have now. What are the existing circumstances? Where are you at? What do you have? What do you know? Because all of that is contained within you and your life. That's the seed. That's the blueprint. That's the matrix. So all that's happening is we're getting rid of these overlays of the conditioning. We're getting rid of the templates to get to the original blueprint or design or matrix. So it's it's purifying to get to a more genuine or authentic form, right? It's like filters. Think of the templates like filters. We've all had these filters on. So you're taking a picture and you have a certain filter, but then you take the filter off and you get what is actually there, what that tree looks like, or that landscape, or that seascape. So filters can be fun. They can be enhancing, but when we begin to believe the filter or the filtering, that's been a big part of the problem. We believe the conditioning. We believe the entrainment instead of looking beyond or above or deep within that to say, well, what's really going on here? What am I really needing on a soul level, or what does this situation really need? Not what I think it needs or I was told it needs. Or what's the formula to success or to happiness or to get that relationship? A lot of these formulas are based on conditioning. Now, that's not to say that there aren't certain, whatever you want, formula, tips and tricks that lead you there, that lead you to that doorway. But once you're at the doorway, once you're at the gateway, it depends on you, your vehicle. Your body-mind vehicle, the vehicle for source expression or soul expression. It depends on you. It depends on how you're formatted. What is your design, your matrix? How do you move through the world? And so that's going to become very, very apparent, especially as we move into that Pluto into Aquarius. And you're seeing it now with Pluto in Capricorn and Mars in Cancer. You're seeing this tug, this kind of pull, this push-pull, this polarity that wants to transform. It wants to transform the Mars, how we navigate, how we move through. So all of us are best served right now to really look at what's my pace. I'll give you an example, and there's no wrong or right way. That's what we have to, these things of, if you want to be successful, you got to get up early in the morning, and you got to do this and this, and you got to exercise it by this time, and you got to do this and that. Yes, that might suit a certain group of people, maybe a lot of people, but there's going to be people it doesn't suit. So you're going to have more of that success or fulfillment in whatever area or areas of your life if you figure out your own pattern, your own patterning, your rhythm, your flow. Because that rhythm, that flow, attunes you to your soul signature frequency that aligns things up, body, mind, spirit, right? Emotional body, mental body, physical body. There's an alignment through that attuning. I had one of my students, a client, a young client, teenager, and I was saying, well, if it's okay if you're feeling anxious. Pull yourself back. Ask for help. Ask for support. Maybe do less one day or 2 days or a week. So we have to honor our cycles. We have to honor our flow. And, of course, so many indigenous cultures have taught us that, indigenous peoples, wherever we find them. Sometimes the wisdom of, the old-timers, the sages. But the society did not really allow that. It's going to have to now, because those those aspects of being and the way to navigate, in that way, the manual is falling by the wayside. So I was starting to say, yesterday I could feel it. I had so much going on. I'm traveling, and I just had to pull back. I had to stop, and I thought, you know what? I got to just go get my cortado and just sit and just look and be at the cafe and just the trees. So that's what I did. And I ended up getting a lot more done. Now there's some things I wanted to do that I'm not getting to that I'm like, okay, I'll do while I'm traveling or I'll do when I get back. I had a really good conversation with a friend and one of my assistants. I got a conversation with them. And they're also a really, really good friend that helps me. And I just realized this is my flow. This is how I do it. And I know it sounds so small, you guys. I know it sounds trivial, but it's really, really, really not. And it's kind of that thing where people say, well, just be you. Just show up, or you're perfect. But the thing is, we've been trained not to do that. And we've been trained to not ask the right question of like, well, that whole who am I rabbit hole. It's like, well, if I know I'm a spiritual being with a soul, then what is that? How is that? How is that person? How am I? That how are you is a very good question. How are you? How do you navigate? I have a very interesting rhythm and biorhythm, and I always have. And when I attune to that and align to that, attune and align to that frequency, things are not only better, more in alignment, they're more fun for me, they're more interesting, they're more fulfilling. So it's really imperative that you really kind of stop and go, okay, within my present circumstances, how can I align more and attune more to my energy? How can I align more to my flow and attune to that flow? How can I find that flow? And do it where I can. And you'll be surprised. I mean, I get people saying, oh, I have kids, and they're young, they're babies, or I work. You can still do it within your present circumstances. And sometimes it's training others, even children. There's nothing wrong with saying, Mommy or Daddy's on the phone, let me finish. Obviously, if they're a toddler, it's emergency, yes. But teaching our loved ones, and especially children, that guidance of you can have your alone time or downtime, or painting or drawing or writing your feelings. You need that, and that's good, and so do I. Now, mind you, it may not be, for hours, but understanding, excuse me, or I want to talk to you, or I need this right now. That teaches, those small things teach that autonomy that's so needed. So you're going to see a lot of shakeup, especially, in relationships. I'm going to say February, March on, maybe March, April, May. Relationships, jobs, careers, a lot of things changing for people. A lot of certain jobs, careers greatly cut down, cut back, gone. Certain sectors. Because we're moving into this time where enough people are individually changing that it is really starting to change our structures, our organizations, and that's going to happen even more with Pluto going into Aquarius, that there is going to be more structural change within the organization because the people are changing or awakening more. They're waking up more. So that whole idea that, that we can hold on to something, especially if it's no longer serving us or we've outgrown it or we've expanded beyond it, it is not going to be needed or necessary. A lot of things are going to become extinct. They're lessening. So those of you that feel that call to start something new or get support or help on that, start now. Even if you can only do it a couple of hours a week or at night or on the weekends, start, because there's going to be a lot of openings. There's going to be what you might be calling miracles. There's going to, you're going to have really the chance to really shine. And I'm going to be doing some stuff. I through my Patreon, Soul Path, Soul Awakening community, and YouTube subscribers, and some people also on Insta. I've been getting a lot of questions, and I see, I see where I really want to show up and support and help and guide. And I'm going to be having some experiences that will support that. I want to say workshops, courses that really help people activate, and because I'm seeing some things that are being done that keep people spinning and not getting the traction that they want to actually draw in, manifest, create what they want, especially with their gifts. And we're moving into a time where more and more people are going to be able to do that. There's just, bridging is a big part of it, and I have a client of mine, and really, really dear friend, that's going to share some thoughts on that, because those that I have helped with the bridging have done extremely well in their life. And again, we're not taught this. I understand it, teacher, therapist, but also the guides, working with the guides, the oversouls for all these years. They give me this information, this insight. I do it myself, test it out, and then I bring it to my clients or workshops like, hey, this really helps, do X, Y, Z, and then take it from there. So if that's something that interests you, or you want to know more about what I'm going to be doing, you can go to soulplayground.life or soulplayground.org, either one, and there's a subscribe. There's a little gift for you there too, and you'll be on a list, and I'll keep you posted as to what's happening, what's going on. All right, gang, for calls, if you have a question, a comment, you want to share something, that's 347-539-5122. I put it wrong in the chat. Let's see, 347, 539-5122, and you have to press 1 on your keypad. Okay. That lets me know that you want to get on air, because a lot of people listen by phone. All right, Radiant Soul Lights. Let's see if there's any callers. 347-539-5122. Press 1 on the keypad. Hi, you're on air.
Hi, Michele. How are you today?
Hi. I am doing great. How are you?
Good. Doing well. No huge complaints. The question I have is, financially, things are kind of tight for me now.
Tight?
They're not horrible, just tight.
Just tight a little?
Yeah. As far as some relief, how does that feel to you?
Feels good, but you're being kind of forced to look at something different, or to go in a new direction, or integrate something. That's right. And you've been lagging. So sometimes the higher self will give us a little pinchy. I call it the pinchy time. Things get a little tight, so we have to move on something. Is that true?
Very much. It gave me chills. Yes.
Yeah. So that. Oh wait, give me your. I know I recognize the voice, but give me your first name again.
Sophia.
Sophia. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've talked to you. Have I, Sophia?
Yes, you have.
Okay. Let's see what's coming up for Sophia. Yeah, you got to move forward. It's something you need to build or create, and it's going to open more doors. It's going to be, it may be more income as well. Now, it could be a project or something, but it's definitely showing that the doorway is through whatever you need to follow up on or follow through on. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. Now, does something have to do? I'm getting also preparation. Are you wanting to either put something out there, a CV, a resume? I feel like it's somehow about you getting out there more. I'm hearing out there, new opening or opportunity.
Yes, that as well. Yes, I think about switching what I do in corporate America just temporarily while I am putting this out there. Or I don't know, or just stay put and just focus on putting this out, or also maybe find an even better job while I'm putting this out. Just trying to sit in that
both.
and
yeah, you could do both. Put it out there, because here's the thing. Right now, whatever anybody is doing, it may not bring. How do I want to say this? It may not be the end result, but it gets things going. All right. So especially things that you have wanted to do or focused on before.
Yes.
If this is a really, really good time to focus on what you started but weren't able to complete.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why I'm telling you, and I'm going to be doing more on this, because it just, I don't know. I'm not trying to drag on anybody or be mean, but it really bothers me when, and there are some people that are doing that, when we don't get the full meaning of what's happening energetically, whatever lens we're looking. If we're looking astrologically or psychically or whatever it is, we've got to get the bigger meaning, to use, which is, what have you not been able to do or finish that you want to or that you need to? Now's the time to move forward on that.
Got it.
Sophia, you there? Yeah.
I am.
So what is that? Do you know what it is for you?
I do.
Okay. I love it. Let us know. Keep us posted with what it is, because I really feel we all need to kind of support each other, with what we do, or what we want to do, or what we want to create.
Yes, I definitely started. 2019, I need to finish and just put it out there, just launch. Wow, that was amazing.
Whoa, see? Wow, okay. Love it. I know something amazing is going to come from this for you. I can feel it. Yeah, I can definitely feel it. I feel like you're moving into a phase of expansion, but you just have to trust, Sophia. That's the next step. Put it out there. Trust it and put it out there, right?
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Michele.
Yeah. You're welcome. Keep us posted. Yeah. You've really got kind of smooth sailing. It's I think it's going to be more than what you even thought was possible. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All righty. Keep us posted, please. Let us know.
I will, Michele.
Oh, you do? Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, I love that. Yeah. That's what I'm seeing, just us taking a chance, a risk. I just did a reading, a pick a card that will, I was just going to say air, that was a meaningful message. It's a short message from the guides and God consciousness. I just tuned into the spirit realm, and then also for some people, guides came through. It's very direct. It's going to be a shorter reading. I think I might try to get it out for this Friday. Some people have asked me to do some other readings on relationship, and I'll be getting to the November also, because I am seeing a lot more relationship stuff come up, partnering, gathering, collegial, collaborative, creative type partnerships. People that are already partnered saying, hey, let's do something together. And again, what we have to think, it's not going to be either or. It's not necessarily going to be, for some people, I'm leaving this job or the corporate world and I'm going out on my own. It might be for some of you. You know who you are. But for some of you, it's like, well, what can I do with my partner? What can I do with my girlfriend or my boyfriend? What can I do with my husband or my wife? we always wanted to do this. We always wanted to have this. And it's again, you guys, it's this entrepreneurial energy. The soul is very entrepreneurial. The ego aspect of us, the lower mind, created the whole idea, which we need on this planet. Don't get me wrong. We need systems. But the whole idea of systems and organization and process, as great as that is more of the ego, human, lower mind. Now, if you can be inspired, if you can use a process or a system to help you organize or get there, but then you have to let go, and you got to go in the higher mind. God consciousness, divine consciousness, infinite consciousness, universal consciousness. You got to go beyond the lower mind. And the problem is a lot of people try to solve problems or create or recreate their life or bridge from the area of the organization. And as you see it with big companies and organizations, which happens with us as well, because we're our own organization or company, what happens is you start losing your juice. You'll hear it, you know, oh, that company got too big, or they lost their appeal. They lost their. You see it with bands. You see it with artists, with bands. And it's not to say don't get big, but the problem is sometimes when people get so big, they keep falling back on what they did. They don't allow the new energy to come in, the new guidance, because that requires trust. So they keep doing the same old thing. And that's where you see a lot of times, whether it's fashion or whatever it is, what happens is they go on the streets. You know, the agent, the record company or record label or the cable, I don't know, what is it, internet company, the startup, they talent. They look for fresh talent, but people mistake fresh talent for youth. Why do they think it's people that are young or very young? Because they're willing to take a risk and they have new ideas. But that's not an age thing. You could be in that space of new ideas and opening up at any age. You could do it at 80. And by the way, there's some people that I know that are in their 20s or early 30s that are like not letting any new information. They're like, nope, I got this works, that's it. Even though they're not happy. So what's really wanting to happen right now is Spirit wants to, breathing this fresh air, the breath of life, inspirar, Latin for breath of God. So that life force energy, the new idea, or an idea you had before that now you can do it. Or maybe you updated that idea. Or maybe you can do more because of apps or technology. Now you can do it. So we need to transform the forms. We're transforming our thought forms, right? Our thought forms are being transformed, and the vibrational frequency, that energy in motion, is being transformed. So from now that our thought forms are being transformed, the form, what we manifest, what we create, the object has to, you see it with cars. So we see it with companies, we see it with cars, we see it with houses, we see it with material objects, but we don't yet see it with ourselves. So we have to transform ourselves. We need to take on a different form, a different formation. And we're getting the information right now. This information is bringing in the new forms, but you have to open up to it. You have to vibrationally feel it and open up to the messaging of it. And once you start opening up to the messaging of it, then you're creating more from the higher vibrational aspect of you, the soul, so that it's more authentic. And, you know, we hear that sometimes. I love this example because we hear that a lot with artists. Oh, they bring a lot of soul, or they're soulful. That doesn't mean they're from the South necessarily. We've come to take it to mean that. But soul meaning their blueprint, their realness, their genuineness. They're being true to themselves. They're being true to their heart. They're being true to their spirit, their spiritual essence. You know, or we see somebody that has a lot of passion. Oh, they got a lot of soul, or they're spirited, right? We get those messages all the time, but to some degree it's conditioned out of us. Don't be too spirited. Don't be too passionate. Don't be too hopeful. You know, that's too soon. You might not be able to do that. Don't do that. That's not what people are doing now. That's not what's cool. There's a place that I love. My friend and I were talking about it today, that I love shopping. It has just kind of basic kind of stuff, sweats and shirts and T-shirts and just jeans and all that too. But they have a lot, like linen stuff, but just stuff that's comfortable, but looks nice, but it's just comfy, kind of cozy stuff. And they're always asking in there, and I finally had to say, please don't ask anymore. And they're like, everybody's wearing this. I'm like, well, that's the wrong thing to say to me, because I don't necessarily always wear what everybody's wearing. And in fact, a lot of times I get what's not doing well, or people are, it's on sale because it didn't sell, or it's past season, and then I still get a, compliment. Oh my God, that looks amazing. It's great. And it's because I know my style. I know me. I don't go by what everybody else is wearing. So I told them, I go, listen, just don't come in. I go, you guys see me here all the time. I do my walk through the city. I go there. I'm like, I know what I don't want to, you don't have to ask me that, just let's chit chat. You can help me with sizes or something, right? But that whole idea, but that's where everybody's been at. You got to have this iPhone, the Android. You got to get this. You got to have that. You got to do this. You got to do that. You guys, we have to stop that right now. We have to stop that. Pause. Just put that on pause and go within. It's not to say we can't take people's input or ideas. It's not to say that some ideas aren't good and we need to do like certain things in life. We learn like what's a better relationship, or how is it better to be in relationship. We learn what's right, what's healthy, what's appropriate, what's life enhancing, right action. But what's happened, it's become too formulaic. And that's not going to serve us in the new paradigm with the new emerging consciousness. That is not going to suit. So if that's where you're coming from, that's going to be problematic. Let's just put it that way. If that's where you're coming from, that's going to be problematic. That's not going to be, and I know it's a little triggering for people, because it's like, well, then what do I do? What is this right? What is this? But that's also that Aquarian energy. It has it's a culty side. One of the parts of the lower octave of Aquarius is definitely cults and groups, and we're going to see a lot with different religions, and this is the right way and this is the wrong way, and don't believe this, or you're not God-fearing, so this is going to happen to you. All that kind of stuff will play out. However, the higher octave is individuating and individual. How do I tailor something, whether it's in an existing group or organization or religion or belief? How do I tailor it to me? So what that requires is your own research, whether you're doing it online, through books or videos, but also yourself. You have to research yourself. So those that are willing to do that are really, really going to thrive in this new paradigm, because that's what the new emerging consciousness that's coming in is like. Take a chance on what is really you, what is really heartfelt or authentic, what is really of your soul. And it is kind of hard when you look around and you don't see that reflection. You're not getting that reinforcement. You're not getting that assurance, because you're doing something differently. You're taking a different approach, or you're integrating something new. But if you're following that dream, that desire, that goal, and there's some grounding there, there's some centering, you've built a foundation, it will thrive. It will thrive, especially if it is authentically you. And you're getting the call. That's the thing. A lot of people are going to be getting this confirmation, like as they're answering their soul call, you're going to see through people. Some will be people that you know. Some will be people that know what you're working on. Some might be through readings or other messaging that, oh, this is the direction I need to go in. But do you pay attention? That's the thing. We have to all pay attention. Just like earlier when I was sharing with you that I got this idea, like, oh, I know what I'm going to do now. This next offering that I'm getting, because I listened, I went, oh, I'm getting a lot of people asking this. A, B, C. I'm getting a lot of people asking this, needing help in this area. A lot. and they're not even people that know each other, and they're people all over the world, and I'm hearing the same thing. And so that is a part of the soul call. It's like, hey, this is your skill set. This is what you're good at, Michele. And it's fun for me. And it's like, oh, yeah, that excites me because I can really help people in this area. I've done it before. Now I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to bring it next level because I'm hearing, wow, people are stuck in this way. They don't know how to do this. They don't know what to do. I know how to do this. I help people do this all the time in the individual mentoring I do. I help people do this in workshops and groups. I've seen the results. So your soul call will have something to do not only with your gifts, but what you like doing or love doing, what inspires you, that Mars energy, the passion. So a lot of what's coming in right now is really aligning and attuning to the energy of our passion and aligning our passion to our purpose or our purpose to our passion, however you want to look at it. It's like we're not meant to do stuff that we all, 99%, 90% of the time what we don't like doing. Yeah, 20% of there's certain things you don't like to do. Yeah, obligations, responsibilities. There's, pay to play. There's certain things we have to do, but that does not need to be our whole life, the majority of what we're doing. And if it becomes that, then that means we need to go in a new direction, that there's something that's trying to emerge through us to get us back into that inspiration point, back into the passion and purpose. And unfortunately, and I'm going to say this with so much love and respect, respectfully, a lot of people don't like to put the time in. It takes a while. Being in the weeds, being in the forest and not being able to see the forest through the trees. But you have to allow that. If you allow that, you will find your way. And that's, to me, like what I do when working. A good guide will show you that. They can't walk the steps. In other words, you can have a map, but at some point, it's like going, it's like traveling. Someone could give you an itinerary. Someone could give you a map and all the things that they did, and you might look at that and go, that sounds cool, but until you put your own spin, your own interest there, it's never going to be completely fulfilling, because then you're living somebody else's dream. You're living somebody else's reality. Now, we share realities, we share dreams, we get, input, but too many people stay at that level, and then they're wondering, why am I not fulfilled? It's because you didn't take the time to figure out and find out, what else would I want to do? Where do I want to go? What do I really want to do? I'm going to put my ideas on the itinerary. In other words, right now it's time to individualize what we're doing. It's time to tailor it. It's time to be a curator. I've been saying this since 2011. We're moving into the time of curating our experiences. So doesn't mean we're not going to listen, we're not going to take courses or classes or go to educational institutions, go to university, go to college. We're apprentice school. Yeah, we're going to do all of that. But how do you tailor it? And a lot of you are getting very precise messages of how to tailor it, how to individualize. But because you're not seeing enough reflections, there's the doubt. The doubt and fear comes in. Well, I don't know. Will that work? I don't know. But you're not going to know until you try it, until you start putting together, until you weave it. So in a way, you need to have enough of what's tried and true, what's foundational, right? And then you individualize it. You tailor it on top of that. And part of what I see is people either don't individualize, they don't tailor enough, or they over-tailor and over-individualize, and there's no foundation. So in a way, it's both. You've got to have, it's all the elements. This is how creation works in creativity, is you have to have that earth element there. But you also have to have the water, the love of something, the emotional fulfillment. You've got to have the passion, but you also have to have the idea, and you have to have the follow-through. So I really do see psychically by what I've been shown is that there's this amazing in the middle of all the, I don't know what I'm saying, thrustle, like it's not even hustle, like breakdown and confusion. It's like the cream rising to the top, that there's a lot of people that are going to just be rising into the spaces that are left by what's breaking down starting next year. A lot of people are going to come into those spaces. They're going to come into what's been vacated. It's going to start being a good time. Some people, it could be money, it could be investments, housing, gold, silver, whatever area. It's all areas that there's certain things that are going to be vacated, or an expansion that takes place that's not yet filled, a need that's not yet filled. And even if you work in a company or corporation, I'm thinking even schools, your ideas will be met if you have to take the action, though. You have to initiate. But you might just find people saying, I didn't think that would work, but it will work, or it does work. Or I never thought of asking you to do this, but I guess you know what to do, or you know how to do this. And believe me, I've gotten that all the time in my life. People saying, oh, I didn't know you knew this, or you could do this. I remember one time years ago, a client who did work with, mostly intuitive work, but we did hypnotherapy. And I don't say all my training and schooling, whatever. We did this workshop, and she came up after me. Not a workshop, sorry, a retreat. We had 20 people or so, 20, 25 people at this retreat. It was really fun, really amazing. And she came up after one of my, I don't know what we were talk or inner, whatever we were doing, and then we were breaking for the night and going to dinner. And she came up and she kind of pulled on me and said, I got to talk to you. And she looked, her eye looked incredulous, and she said, I didn't know you knew all this stuff. She goes, you know a lot. You've trained a lot. And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, you never said anything. I go, well, it doesn't come up. Again, so a lot of you're going to be led to like something a soul gift, a way you understand things, maybe something you've learned through your life experience. Maybe it is training or school from long ago that you're bringing forward in the way that suits you and suits the times. Because it doesn't even matter if you've lived with someone 30, 40, 50 years, whatever. We can never know ourselves in totality, because we're in this unfolding. We can get a good idea of what's authentic, but we got to stay open. And just like that, whether it's clients or customers or your own partner, your own husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other, friends, family, they're never going to totally know you. They can have a good idea, but you may surprise them. You may surprise yourself in this emerging, this unfolding. You may be drawn to something you didn't think you were drawn to. Like, I didn't think I'd ever do that. I didn't think I would love that or like that, or I would use that. And if you just stay open right now and receptive to the higher vibrational aspect of you, that navigating principle, the higher self, the linking you into your soul awareness, soul consciousness, and attuning you through the heart frequency, that fulfillment and energy and emotion. If you allow yourself, keep things open-ended. It's not, sometimes I hear people say, oh, I'll never do that, or I don't want to do that, or this is the way I am, or just say, okay, this is the way I've been, but let's see what's coming through. Then you're going to allow that expanding aspect of you to come in that has the understanding of what's needed for your abundance, your prosperity, your goals, your dreams to manifest, that relationship, that health, that healing, that wellness, that whatever it is that you're needing or wanting. Those experiences are not coming from the previous you. They're coming from what is unfolding as you. The unfolding aspect of your being, the emergence. This is the emergence of what's coming in. Okay, I hope I'm not seeing our... Okay, I hope, let's see, is this a rebroadcast? The phone isn't working. What? Do you not hear me? Let me see. Hi, you're on air. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. My name's Tara.
Hi, Tara.
Hi.
They said the phone line isn't working. Okay, I'm waiting for our guest. Hold on one sec.
Okay.
If the guest is coming on, okay, I see you now. Okay, go ahead, Kara.
Okay. Well, I was expecting the guest too when I came on, but got on a little late here. So, just listening to what you're talking about, and wondered, is it possible to get a reading?
Yeah, go ahead, and then I'll get to the guest because I just saw the guest number come in. Yeah, Kara, go ahead.
Okay.
What's your question?
So, kind of based around my family, my parents, kind of graduating into that stage where they're older, and I'm helping them quite a bit, and dealing with some memory issues now, and wondering on one hand, my father is more at peace with these memory issues, but yet my mother's very, having a difficult time, and I didn't know regarding, healing for him. I pretty much am at the point where, what will be, and this is his journey. But she's gung-ho about fixing him.
Yeah, I heard make comfortable, energy work, Reiki, music, a certain light coming in. But yeah, I feel he's adjusting, because I feel sometimes his memory is there. Is it going in and out?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And he had open heart surgery, so some of that may be residual from that. Yes.
Okay, and that's why I might be hearing make comfortable, because I definitely hear he's in a major healing phase, and he's not out of the frustration. So there is frustration around what he's going through, but he's acclimating from that. But there is a level of frustration there, and you're probably picking up on that.
Yes,
my sense of that. But let your mom will do whatever she's doing. But the big thing I feel with him right now is being made comfortableness, less stress, because he already has a level of, I get stress, irritation to what's going on, and that's kind of where he's at in his process right now. He misses reading. There's something he's missing reading. I don't know if there's something that he used to read, or what. He may not have the same attention span, is what I'm getting. Right. Yeah.
Sometimes it's difficult for him to do that.
Yeah.
Yes. And to do all the things he was doing before mentally.
He used to do. Yeah. That's challenging, because then he would be doing that while he's healing. Yeah. All right, Carol. Well, you take care of yourself too, because you're putting a lot of care into them, and I understand that. But you're doing what you need to, is what I'm hearing also.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and we have our guest coming on now. All right, so lights. Okay, so we have our awakening guest, or our awakening conversation. We have Cathleen Beerkens. Graduated from the University of Maryland with a BS in health education. We're going to be talking about your creator matrix, how to use optimal wellness and quantum healing to master your story and create your reality. Ooh, I love that. Okay. Kind of fits right in with what we were talking about earlier. I love that. Kathleen, hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me. It's very nice to meet you.
You as well. Tell us a little bit of your background and how you got to what you're doing now. This is you're so perfect for what we were talking about earlier at the beginning of the podcast.
With this kind of
bridging
synchronicity.
Yes, isn't it?
Yeah.
It always is. I love that. I love, with this whole packaging and putting together and kind of the integrating what you studied, what you learned, what you did for a while into what you're doing now. So I really would love to hear not just the background, but I also want to hear how you did that. How did you fashion or create, manifest what you're doing now?
Okay. Well, that's such an interesting question that we all have, because we all have our story, right? We all have our background, and we all have choices. And so from a very early age, I was definitely feeling very different. I was not feeling like the people around me, but I loved my family, but they were just different. And but that is something that you don't always know at the time. You can look at later and understand, but now I understand that I am really different. But at that time, I just loved them, and I was the oldest of 6 children, in a very Catholic background,
children.
And in 7 years. So it was quite interesting. And but what I can say is that I was not comfortable. When I look back as a child, I wasn't comfortable with the earth. It was, for me, I felt really heavy, and the people, I felt the intensity here, and I didn't know how to manage all those things I was feeling. So all the things I was seeing, I could kind of feel energy and read energy, but I didn't understand because nobody was talking about that, right? And I was very
Especially it sounds like
things.
Not in your family, right?
No, not at all. And I was internalizing things in my body. So, because the body felt so uncomfortable. So that's just my personal story. But when I was about 13, I was invited to Walter Reed Medical Center because they built a new hospital across the street from us. We lived in Washington, D.C. And I remember I said to my dad, I want to go there. And I don't know why. I just kind of always followed this intuition. I remember being in the hospital, and I knew. I had a knowingness, and that's sort of how I am. I always follow that knowingness. And the knowingness was, I have to work in a hospital. I have to work in a hospital. So after I graduated from Maryland, many years later, I went to nursing school. And I decided not to do medicine because I did have 5 younger siblings, and I felt like I couldn't ask that. I needed to just ask something short, like a master's degree or something, so that the other kids could be educated, right? I was very aware that was a lot of children to raise. So I went to nursing school at Georgetown, and that began a whole nother avenue where I started working in the hospital, and I always chose like really hard floors, and I don't know why that is. Like when I look back, it was very intense. I was on step down ENT ward, and I thought I was going to do tonsillectomies, but no, I was dealing with radical neck cancer, people losing every part of their face, of their nose, of their throat, of their...
Oh, my gosh.
So they couldn't speak, they couldn't breathe.
Now, what ward was this?
Yeah, so...
What ward is this?
It was a step down at ears, nose, and throat. But I thought it was going to be just a surgical, doing tonsillectomies, but it was not. It was literally the doctors in that hospital at Georgetown at that time were doing all the cancer of radical necks. So I was just like, that's what they call them. They're like surgeries where they take out, part of your, like I had a patient who lost her tongue. I mean, I don't even want to get into it all, but it was really heavy at that time. And I also worked in the emergency room, and I worked in high-risk labor and delivery in Washington where there were a lot of drug babies. And so I always was in these very intense situations for like 12 years. And, I can be honest with you, the medical system was very disappointing because, first of all, we could never meet everybody's needs. Secondly, we, even with the cancer, it just didn't seem like we were holistic at all. And as a mother, I had my first children in those years. I was starting to realize that the medical system also wasn't serving me because I was from a family of all doctors and everything, but it wasn't working anymore. I was going, like I had a son with a lot of immune issues, and they just kept giving antibiotics and other things to him, and it wasn't really solving his problem. It was just like kind of getting rid of the problem for the moment, but not really what was wrong with his immune system. So there were just things that were happening to me all those years, and I write about in a book, I tell my journey, where I was just not happy. I was thinking, oh gosh, we have to do more for people, because this is not, like, I got a very frustrating feeling when we would let people leave the hospital and we would give them education on what was going on and try to give them support. But somehow I knew we weren't really solving things for them. And we did our best. I will say that the system, how it is the people are good people. The nurses, the doctors, the physical therapists, the social workers, everyone in the system is trying really hard. But the system itself is not really addressing the whole of who we are.
Yeah,
and this
so
is
true.
really bothersome, you know. So, and also I just worked also as a nursing student on we had to do mental health too, and as a nurse, we had to go, and I was working on a floor where all the children were. It was bizarre how I ended up on that floor, but the children were were trying to kill their parents, and I was thinking to myself, how could this be happening? Like, I don't know, I was just faced with so much intensity that I was asking a lot of critical questions. And I think the biggest question I was asking is, how could we do it better? Because this is not the kind of world I want. And I want to help somehow fundamentally, but I don't know how that is. So I started on a journey with asking questions. And from those questions, I started getting answers like, physically, why are we so sick? Physically. And then I realized, oh, it's not just physical, it's also mental. And then I realized, oh, it's not just mental, it's also like we are not trained how to handle emotions. Okay, and then I realized we have a spirit, we are actually spiritual beings having a temporary experience, and nobody's addressing that. And it's just more like the dogma of the churches, which can help us to an extent, but not really. We need to do it ourselves, this work. So I realized those things sort of myself through my own stories. Like, for instance, when I finally had a burnout after all these years of nursing, which many people do, and, you know, working all those night shifts and blah, blah, blah. And I'm very sensitive. So taking care of all the people with all their pain and suffering, you want to handle it, but you're also not trained on the emotions and all that. So I didn't know what was even happening. But suddenly I was near a burnout, and I was just searching, like, how can I handle this? And I met a doctor, and she is an amazing doctor, Dr. Lonsdorf. She's an Ayurvedic doctor, and she's a medical doctor from Stanford, and she's written a book, A Woman's Best Medicine, many years ago. So she was an Ayurvedic practitioner, doctor, and a regular doctor, but I went to her in a clinic for help, because I was just like, I am a mess. What do I do? And she felt my pulse. They do pulse readings, and she could, from my pulse, figure out all my imbalance, like not only physical, but on all levels. And so she kind of guided me, and I tell that story of how I learned to meditate and what a change that meant for me, and what a change it meant for me to start eating differently, and what a change it meant for me to start caring for myself on all levels. And I just can't explain the change that happened those years, but it was profound. And I got out of, like, I didn't want any medicine. I tried. I was in a kind of postpartum depression at that point also, and I didn't want it, but what the medicine that I did take, I got off of very quickly, and then I was just determined never to do that again. And I also realized from her a lot about the gut and about my own eating habits.
Talk about that. There's
things like that.
There's so much right now with gut health, you know, this focus on gut health.
Yes. Yeah. Well, gut health is really, our gut is our health. So it turns out that along your gut, first of all, the gut exists, your digestive system, I'll say, exists on all levels. So the big reason that spiritually and emotionally that we have a gut at all, because every part of our body helps us to be on Earth in this 3D experience, is our gut is really our emotional processing center. So when we start to understand that we are taking in life, like physically eating food, right? But we're also taking in life stories. So we're not just taking in food, we're taking in and having to digest the stories we create and experience on Earth. Yeah. So the gut helps us to do that. And the reason spiritually and emotionally we're having so many troubles right now is that there's so much change on the planet. We're in a huge awakening, a huge change and shift in consciousness. And this shift is making it very hard for people to know who they are, and they're very lost, and the old structures that they counted on are hurting. Yeah, they're upset about them. So the gut, like, talk about a life story we have to digest. We're having, on a spiritual level, an emotional level, a lot of trouble digesting all of this. But we're also physically, unfortunately, the earth, we have not cared for the earth very well. So the food has been altered dramatically, and I could get into that. That's like a long story, but I can just say, if you look at the wheat used to be different. And in the 1950s, we started hybridizing the wheat, which is a process where you actually change, you change the physical wheat so that our body doesn't recognize the protein of gluten. It has been altered. And so many, many people right now are having trouble digesting it. And not only that, it seems to have a really negative effect on the cilia, the digestive system. It's causing havoc, and it's causing a condition called leaky gut syndrome. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's where the gut has little holes, develops little holes, and gets inflamed. So that's one physical reason, because many people are eating this modern grain. And so what we recommend in the book, and I talk about it, is eating more ancient grains, if you can get your hands on them and try to find out what they are. But the other thing is, not everybody, we're all unique, and we all should be eating a bit differently. Like we used to think everything was, you should eat the same, right? We used to teach these diets, this is the diet or that is the diet. But what we've learned is that everyone at a DNA level is, and this is the epigenetics, is just different. And so we need different food at different time in our lives. And most people have added all this processed food in. And these are GMOs, and there's a lot of issues around GMOs, because like I can tell you, I live in Europe, and they were not even accepted in Europe, even though they are here, believe me. But the GMOs have other problems. So the bottom line is the environment has been altered, and that's really hurting us. Also, the environment is very toxic, like microplastics, all these things that we never really did studies on are in our environment now in the last 100 years. And they're causing serious trouble. And especially you can see this in the youth, because I can tell you, we did not have so many autoimmune before. We did not have so many issues with cancer even in the youth as we do now. So the disease is going up, especially chronic disease. And this is a sign that our bodies are challenged right now with not only the spiritual changes, the emotional changes, how to handle emotions, and also with just the physical issues we're dealing with. I hope that was. Yeah. I mean, I could go much more into the gut, of course, but
no. Well, that's good with the gut. They help. Well, I know, and the thing with the gut, it's one of the brain centers too, right? Yeah. The gut, the heart, the brain, or
totally
processing centers. It's
true. The gut makes all the like the good bacteria in the gut, which we should have more good bacteria than bad, and then we're in balance. But right now, because of the food and everything I've been talking about, we get more of the bad bacteria, and then we don't make enough of the neurotransmitters that help us to be happy and make a thought. So there is a direct link physically between the gut and the brain, and it's all with hormones, and it's all. If you don't make enough good bacteria, if your good bacteria don't make enough neurotransmitters, and like in your serotonin, et cetera, in your brain, then your brain slows down, and that's what depression can be. It doesn't always have to be from having a dramatic thing in your life, although they go together. So I would say many factors influence depression, including it can be that we inherit it, but it doesn't have to be. We're seeing a lot of youth that don't even have this in their, genes being very depressed right now.
Mm. And what do you attribute? Obviously, food. What else what are you attributing that to?
Food, pesticides, all kinds of toxicity that we're eating. Yeah, like there's so much toxicity. Those microplastics, basically all processed food. When we look at food is meant to restore our cells' frequency, light. It's supposed to give our cells light and raise the vibration, restore. But what's happening is we're eating a lot of food that actually has what we call zero. It's on the frequency level at zero. It doesn't restore anything. And actually, it's quite dark. So imagine you're eating almost 60% processed food and then drinking Cokes, and look what the kids are doing. And then they're surprised that they're feeling so disconnected. Well, the reality is what we eat, we become. Our cells are built from our food that we eat. And so if we're giving ourselves a lot of food that's not high frequency, then we're going to feel that over time.
Mm. Yeah, so it's really looking at the live or the activating part of food or whatever we ingest. I like what you said earlier about it's not just what we're eating, through our mouth, is what we call, but in our environment, in our life, the thoughts, everything that ingesting. We're always in that process of that ingesting and the catabolizing, the breaking down, the metabolizing, assimilating. What would you say to people that find themselves, let's say, in very, what do you want to say, toxic or challenging situations, that they can start course correcting with whatever they're ingesting, whether it's food or environment or people? I'm curious about that, because a lot of people, like you said, in this awakening, a lot of people are realizing, it's my career, it's my job, but they can't change everything all at once, right?
No. So it's important to start somewhere. And usually when someone is going through an awakening, that's already a shift. So what we notice is when someone's in this process of awakening, which is a rapid acceleration of consciousness, their bodies are physically changing very quickly because they're allowing this change, and more light and information is coming in, and they're getting more integrated. So as this is happening, they start to get there's two things that happen. They have physical symptoms, that's one, but two, everything in their life, they start to question, and they start to see through the illusion, like if they were in a very, very bad relationship, but they just accepted it. Suddenly they're like, no, I don't want to accept this anymore. Or if they were always not even paying attention to food, some people who've been through an awakening, they start to pay attention first to the food or their physical body to care better for it. So many, many people then also start to find they're yearning for some purpose. They're suddenly like, my life has no purpose. And so they want to start to ask questions, like critical questions, like, why am I here? What is this experience all about? Because this has just been very painful so far, or I've just been avoiding pain my whole life. Or they start to become aware of patterns and behaviors in their life, and they have been repeating. And suddenly they're just like, the awakening is saying, I don't want to do that anymore. And so they start to, I would say, offload. And as they're becoming more conscious, make more choices that serve them and let go of things that don't serve them.
So it sounds like with you that it maybe people know that it's unfolding. It's a winding out of winding into. It's step by step. And
yes.
So what helps, you think, Kathleen, to support this process?
Well, ultimately, we all have to learn that we're exceptional. Actually, we are like not just a physical body. That we all have to agree on that. We are spirit having this temporary experience, and believe me, it goes fast. That we're just here to explore our creative potential, or we have been exploring our creative potential in this duality. But what's happening right now, and this is a lot in one conversation, is we're going above the duality to create in another level.
Oh, it's not a lot in this. We talk about that all the time, getting out of the extremes of polarity.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we were right. That's what a lot of people know of the Ascension. Yeah, that listen podcasts. Yeah, so no, you're speaking their language. You're reinforcing a lot, which is great, Kathleen.
Oh, good. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, it took me many years, but I knew about the new energy coming. I just knew when I used to have new energy meetings in my house for all the people who were already awake. I think in the early 2000s, So I already knew what was going to happen almost. It was crazy. But I think the thing is, it's happening. I couldn't have predicted COVID. I knew something dramatic was going to happen. And I still think we're in that very volatile period where between now and 28, there's going to be a lot happening.
In 2017 to 2018, and people have heard my story here and on Patreon, but I actually did predict the pandemic, the whole thing that happened. I had 4 days of visions, and I told my family assistant and people that I work in session, and it was so interesting because I saw like people in those like light colored fatigues, and they had people that were marching and all that. So for me, I was walking around, driving, looking like, oh my God, that was in my vision. Oh my God, that happened. That was all around.
That's funny.
Yeah, like a
cool.
little kid of kind of experiencing. But for a lot of people, that there was a flourishing that could take place in that if you didn't get pulled in, to the. And a lot of what I saw, it would be. Yeah, if you could die. Exactly. Even I was told where it came from the man-made everything, and of course all that stuff is coming out now. And you know what's interesting, Kathleen? One thing I realized, because I used to ask myself, why do I get these visions? Why do I predict these things? Why do I get this? Because not necessarily you can do anything about it. You know what I mean? So.
Well,
what I realized,
I have it too, but you go ahead. What did you realize? Because I understand.
Well, you know what I kind of got to it. Not that I didn't trust before, but now I fiercely trust what I receive. Yeah, because it's so beyond right. And I thought, that was all cheeky, that was all fun and game, but it's taught me to really, really trust what I'm receiving, what I'm seeing, and that guidance.
Totally.
Right? I don't know what your thought is on that.
I understand. No, I have the same. I knew exactly what was COVID. I felt it. I was like this. I knew. I just knew. And I was trying to say, guys, this is, take care of yourself.
Don't get caught up.
This is very important.
Yeah, take care.
Yeah, don't get like da-da. But it was difficult because people were still like so fearful. If you had a lot of fear, it depends on what your fears are. But if you haven't cleared fears, then you could fall into the narratives because you just were wanting to be safe, Yeah. But we have compassion. Like that's the thing I've learned through COVID. Have compassion for every human being because we are all just doing our best. But I'm like you. I have visions. I knew 2028 was going to be a big year and coming, and I know now for sure that the date of November 5th, 2027 is something. It's nothing to fear, but there is a lot more coming. In other words, we're not through
I see
this
that too.
ascension. So we all have to find like-minded people and become the light or the positive force that you want to see in the world. So I think this is what I encourage everyone to do, to be that positivity, that love that you want to receive. That will help.
And to your point, because it all starts with us, we're the ones co-creating this. We're creating it, so we need to do. We need to be that, process, move through, digest, whatever we need to do to help us in the process. But I think, that's a big, a big part of it. That we're the ones that are having to do it. That's very interesting, because a lot of people kind of not seeing that. And I'm like, guys, it's not like, Wizard of Oz and we clap our feet together and it's here, or it's a movie. We go. It's like we are doing the grunt work. We are the ones that are doing it.
Yes.
What's that
and
thing? You're
really
the one you've
hard,
been waiting for.
We're not waiting for anyone. Yeah. We're not going to be rescued. We're we're creating this. So this is the book I wrote, Your Creator Matrix. In other words, you have a matrix. Matrix is a structure. We have a structure of our being. It's multidimensional. It's not linear, and we're waking up to that reality. And we have to learn to use this matrix, each of our matrix, in a really great way where we can integrate ourselves and not be stuck with those fears and those limiting beliefs and the way we have been programmed for generations. We're being asked a lot, like you said, to let go of a lot of the generations also. And I write about that in this book, because we also can inherit, like half of our beliefs are not even ours. They're literally inherited, and they're brought down through generations based on a very fearful world. So we have to, if we want a world that's not fearful, if we want to create it differently, which I think humanity has decided we collectively do, then we have to start to think differently and use our emotions more wisely and realize who we really are, which is energy.
By the way, I love that in your book, and I talked about this at the beginning of the podcast too, but I'm always hammering out, I said, it's not about that movie. The Matrix isn't bad. It means design. And I saw the title of your book, I was like, oh my God, thank God.
Because it's true, because without structure, we don't function. So if we let go of the old structures right now, that's emotional. It is, because we know it. It's familiar. Actually, humans, sometimes we have trouble changing, and that is our mourning process. Actually, we're mourning, you could say, the old going, because we don't, and we're fearful because we don't know what's coming. But what we really have to realize is that we are making it happen. So we have a choice what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, and that's going to affect and change. Like it doesn't take many. I mean, if just a few, which I think is happening right now, are doing this more consciously, it will affect the whole, because we actually are connected, all of us.
Right. Yeah, I like that you say that. It's not going to. Well, and I also don't think it's going to take a long time. I think we're going to have some exponential leaps here, which, by the way, I didn't think that before, but I don't know about you, but I'm kind of getting that message. Yeah, you're going to have we're going to have some exponential leaps, right, Kathleen? I think so.
Yes, it's exciting.
We're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Yes, I agree, and that's why that date, like 2027, is not far. I'm curious. That is an incredible date. So, and the astrologer that I talked to about that date, she said, we've never seen this. So we just don't know. And I'm like, oh, my word. But I don't think we should be fearful, because I think it's cool. It's like, wow, we're going into something so unique. I think we should be excited.
I do too. I liken it to, though it's not the same, but like those gold rush days, or, we're going to the other side and making this resettlement. And really we are doing that. We are establishing this whole new way of being, expressing and experiencing life and new forms and ideas and creative projects and companies, and it really is. What would you say? How can people get the idea, or what is your thought on this, of how they are all a part of this, and they're doing it in their individual lives, and then we're kind of, all of us are coming together to do this. But even if someone's doing it individually, because sometimes I hear that, well, I'm not doing this part of this group, or I'm not, is what I'm doing enough, I guess. Is sometimes the question.
Well, first of all, you asked me the question about how you create something. And I think that we're all on different levels of our understanding of this, and I'm not even going to say I'm perfect at it, but I don't know why I know how to do a lot. Right? We're all in a process, but I definitely knew how to do it easier than some people I knew, because I just knew. I don't know how to explain it. And that is just, we all have different gifts, and maybe that was just my gift because I was going to write this book or whatever. So I do believe that some things are sort of, we, like maybe before we come, we go, we want to make sure we do this life. And this is a very special life we're in, all of us together. So I think the first thing is to know that it's not so much about doing, that really the creative process is twofold. It's not only doing, it's also being. And we have not been focusing enough on being. We don't even understand it because we've been in survival mode. So we've been like doing just to survive. But now we have to realize, we need to do and we need to be. And so I would like to encourage everybody to just get their whole creator matrix, their whole body, mind, spirit, soul complex in a happier, healthier state. Yeah. And even by doing that, they're making the world different.
Yeah, I like that you say the being part, because that's also what that's what is communicating to the universe, is the being. Being that vibration, being that out of the extremes of duality. And, I always say you could be on the bestseller list, you could be so publicly visual, but if you don't really have that higher level consciousness, or you're stuck in those extremes of the polarity or duality, you're still old design, old matrix. It's not the
right,
new,
and you're not going to help. You're not going to help. If people want to help, they need to offload their baggage and just be in higher frequencies, right? And eat better and love themselves more. And you know that if you do all of that, that's a lot of work. Talk about a lot of work just to be that. But imagine if we all did that. The world would just be different.
And that truly is that creative principle, that is, as you put it. So I like what you're doing here, because it's like the optimal wellness, that health, that healing, you're also extending or expanding not just the meaning of it, but the arena of it, like where and how it affects us or manifests, for us. Sounds like there's this real expansion into that whole concept. It's like quantum healing, quantum, wealth,
Yes, exactly. It's quantum healing, actually. Because when we understand we are quantum, we are multidimensional. That is so hard for people. They have only been trained that they want to have something, they have to do all these things, and they're all programmed that they have to do all that to get there. So if I want to manifest a new job, I need to do certain things, and that's been programmed into me. I have to get a good education. I have to do this. I have to do that.
Yeah.
When I see the happiest people who might not have followed those recipes. They might have done it more. They might have started realizing early on they wanted to go their own way and be creative. And really, when you're in the creative moment or creative spirit that you are realizing you're creating your reality, you are more powerful and much happier.
So true. Kathleen, you're not only a breath of fresh air, but very inspiring. I love this.
Oh, thank you.
I love what you're saying.
Thank you. Well,
yeah.
I like talking to you, too. It's very nice to connect
you'll have
with
to come
like-minded
back.
people.
Well, yes. So much of what you say is just so dovetails what we've been discussing and sharing. And, of course, you have a book that helps people do this, which is great. Let people know how to get in touch with you, and I keep the invite open to come back anytime you want to share. I love what you're sharing.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
I really do. Really love what you're doing. So anyway, how can people
maybe
get in
we
touch
could
with
come
you?
back. Yeah. So my
ahead.
book
Maybe
is Your Creative
with.
Matrix, and I'm. If I came back, I said I could come talk about some of the new sciences that are helping us to explain this reality, which helps us to understand how to manifest easier, because people are kind of trying to manifest with certain laws, but they're missing other pieces. So it's like I can't get into all that right now, but the law of attraction is not enough. So we have to understand how,
let me tell
how our
you,
matrix
we
is
are
working.
so on the same page, because I'm always saying that. I work a lot with clients with repatterning and emotional clearing, and what you talked about, the emotional body, and it almost makes me want to tear my hair out, root by the root with that law, because it sends people down a rabbit hole and a dead end.
Yes.
So yes, I would love for you to come back and share on that, what you know and what you've researched and what you've seen, because I really feel that message and that understanding has to be gotten out a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
really
need
feel
to understand
crucial.
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we don't understand it, we can't make these changes in our life, and we constantly keep going back to the same storylines. And we don't, like, there's storylines that we're kind of over and we're done with, but we don't know how to make the shift out of them, and that's really important. So it's
that's
not
what
like
you have
about,
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to work at it. It's like a full-time job almost. You can say.
Yeah.
No, I'm laughing about it, but
that's why I always say
this is our work.
This is I'm like, one time a client said, "Oh, I've been working on this for a year," and I said, "Okay, first of all, maybe you just better expand this idea of the healing path and empowerment just as a lifelong passion, something you love doing." Because I go,
exactly.
The 1 year, 5 years doesn't really go, but if it's something you really love doing and you just are learning and growing and know how to do it, then that's going to be much better, and you less set yourself up. But
exactly.
I would love for you to come back.
Yeah, I will definitely come back. But we have to learn to enjoy the process, because it's actually not about the destination. We often think, oh, I'm only going to be happy when I do have that new house, or I'm only going to be happy when I'm actually in this amazing job. But it's maybe amazing on the outside, like everything about it seems amazing because it ticks all the boxes. It's in the right neighborhood. It has the right salary, but it's not the right job. It's just fitting those pegs so we have to really start to be authentic and pure and go back to what we really want. And that is the uncovering, like you said, and we were just saying, the work that we're all having to do now. And we call it healing, but maybe it's just returning back and reconnecting to our total self. It's kind of like
so.
And I bring this up in the book.
No, I think you're onto something with that. Because even the word healing comes from Old Halen, which means wholeness. And so that's why I like what you're doing and the title, because, because I mean, I know it's come to mean like sick or something's wrong, but I think you're right. I think it's just coming back to our authenticity, our genuineness, the whole person, the whole self, the whole matrix, our whole design. I think that's another thing. That's a good point. I think you're right. Because I do know when you think, oh, healing again, it sounds like drudgery or something's wrong with me. I'm sick. I have to, right?
Yeah. Yes, it's true. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we have to make it a little more fun, right? It has to be exciting, and where's that? Anyway, no, but so you can find my book on Amazon, and Your Creator Matrix. And the beautiful part, I just have to mention, I did it with my sister during COVID. We were separated. I live in the Netherlands, and she lives in America, and she's an artist, Deborah Kaola, and she did 13 pictures, magic realistic pictures they're like portraits. They're so beautiful. She made the book. The book is our story, how we create our story, that it's in our hands. And each of the portraits are either in a book or on a book, and they're it's like a symbol that it is in our hands. And they're really beautiful. They're very light, and they're very multidimensional. So that's what I love about doing this, because it really connected during COVID, during those difficult years when I couldn't go home and I couldn't see my family. Deborah and I could stay connected. It was very special.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's very inspiring, very inspiring. So the book, Your Creator Matrix, and available on Amazon. And then what's your website so people can take a peek there?
Yes, sure. I train health and wellness coaches at the highest level to become certified with the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaching and International Coach Federation. So that's very exciting. Our coaches are really doing the work in the medical field to help heal, you would say, or make the medical field become whole, because they learn how to coach holistically. So it's awellnessrevolution.com.
Love that. Now's the time for that. All these things are getting the remodel, reinvigorated, remodeled.
Yeah, exactly.
Updated.
Exactly.
So, and that's a big part in the awakening is the medical field. That is educational and medical. So that's good on you for that one. We need that so much. Critically.
Yeah, and you can also you can look at my YouTube channel, because since 2020, I have been interviewing people all over the world who bring new technologies that are bringing the new things, actually, and talking about the new way of healing. And I always have new people with new ideas, and so it's kind of fun, that YouTube channel. Once a month, I put a new one out.
Once a month. Okay. Well, people can find you there. Maybe I'll join you there as well. Maybe we'll have a little...
Oh, that'd be great.
Do a little
symposium. Yes, I can interview you.
Exactly. We can have another keep the conversation going, Kathleen.
Exactly. I love that. That's so fun.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, thanks for sharing. I love what you are sharing, and I love that title, Your Creator Matrix. I love that. I think that's a great blueprint and support for people at this time. So needed. All right.
Well,
till
thank
next
you
time.
for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michele.
Look forward to it. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, gang, you heard it here. I love that. Creator Matrix. You know how I'm always saying Matrix, and here it is in a book. So I love, worth a re-listen. I might listen to this on the plane. Wellnessrevolution.com is the website. Your Creator Matrix, how to use optimal wellness and quantum healing to master your story, your soul story, right? Create your new reality. So, and kind of remember, we touched on this, but that Matrix is just design. Look up the derivation of words. It will free you. Healing isn't something that has to be sickness or something wrong. Has to do with wholeness, integrity of the soul. So anyway, I love you guys so much. Thanks for being here. As always, thank you all that called in, all listeners that were listening by phone in the chat, and those of you that are listening later in the replay. Thanks for being here. If you have any guest suggestions, topic suggestions, you have questions for me, you can email me at awakeningspodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, shine bright, share your light.
Awakenings broadcast every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Archive shows available on iTunes. For continued awakened conversations and insights, join the Awakenings group on Facebook. And check out Michelle's blog at soulplayground.com. And keep awake.
My Nikki was riding her tricycle when some nitwit decided to back in. I never want to relive that moment. But Sobo and Sobo saved us. They were more than lawyers, they were protectors. When it came time for settling, they made sure she walked away with nothing less than the best. Now she's 5 and starting first grade, and her future is even brighter thanks to Sobo and Sobo.
Tell us your story.